Good afternoon, PAX East, and welcome to the Personal History of Video Games, Chapter 2. Woo! Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. It's really appreciated. My name is Eric Canius, and I'm Canadian. But enough about me. Let's introduce my panelists, and then we'll get into what the panel is and start talking. On the far left there, we have Dave Lang from Iron Galaxy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is going to be the best panel you see all week.
Absolutely. And then to my left, we have Maya Coleman from Goat Wolf Cabbage LLC, makers of Secret Hitler. And to my right, we have Brandon Stennis from Versus Evil, also streaming all the time on Twitch. Woo! And on the end there, we have the one and only Greg Miller from Kinda Funny. Feel free to speak, anyone, to say hello, but that's okay.
What's up?
Hello.
There we go. So this panel, the personal history of video games, is all about, we all know the dates and times of when consoles came out and games releases and all that stuff, but it's about how they affected our lives and our personal history with them rather than the timeline that we see of the commercial goods, and how these products, oh, that's a close-up, these products, can we get a little wider on that? Thank you. These products.
Closer. I want the other camera closer on it.
And how these products have led us to places and let us meet people, like stuff like PAX, where we're here for the commercial stuff, but we have our friends here, we have all the people that we meet, and there's all the stuff in life and how this has happened with our family and friends and communities and that sort of thing. And it creates situations that you normally wouldn't be in. So I'll start off with my story, the one that I haven't used last time. I'll try to embellish it a bit. So I have 4 older brothers. And anyone with siblings knows they're a pain in the ass most of the times, or sometimes. You can be lucky sometimes. But my brother was a hockey player, being Canadian, and so we had mini sticks. I don't know if everyone knows what mini sticks are?
No.
Just a stick, but
It's a miniature plastic hockey stick.
Like how many? Like this many?
Like this big, like a foot. Yes.
Sorry.
And then we would
cool.
heat up the end of it and bend it so you can get more of a flick on it. Some people, I see some nods. But anyways, he was very good. And so while I was playing Spyro the Dragon on the PlayStation 1 in our living room, he was using the stick to flick a little ball at me over and over, and it would bounce off my head and roll down me and go back to him. He was that skilled. So he was able to get the ball back. It was a self-returning brother bothering system. And then the one time I was able to catch it, and I hucked it against the wall, and it bounced off the wall and hit the reset button on the PlayStation 1, and I lost everything. And he won! It was just a classic sibling tormentor through video games, and somehow he made me reset the game on myself, and so that was fabulous. But I don't know if anyone here has siblings or any sibling stories to tell.
I have a lot of those, but like, well, I have props, so not weird stuff, so don't worry. So the first thing I have here is Streets of Rage.
Damn.
This is a game that I played with my brother on Six Pack, if you guys remember that one. I played this at my grandmother's house with him, and it was like one of the greatest games I ever played in my entire life, like as a kid. And the music was perfect, and then I remember playing 2, 3. I still haven't actually beat 3, which is kind of sad. But this is like one of my favorite games. I finally bought this a few months ago just to have the box and just to see that, like, you know, classic box art and all that good stuff. But yeah, my brothers were a big inspiration back in the day to like play video games because that's all we had, and continuing on and doing cool stuff with it now has been pretty awesome.
Yeah, so did you find that video games, you were able to spend more time with your brothers and that sort of thing, or was it in addition to?
Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, I had to. But no, we had, because that's all we had, and like we had a single mom, so we played, you know, Sega, Nintendo, all that good stuff. And then it came to a point where it was like, okay, we're going to be a Sega family. And then when Sega, died out, yeah, I was like, Sega family, that's it. And then we were like, no Nintendo. And then when the GameCube came out, my brother switched it on us. He's like, I'm going to get a GameCube. I was no, why?
Your mom threw him out of the house.
Yeah, I was like,
we're a Sega family.
Exactly, we're out of here. But it's just, yeah, once I moved out and had my own place, then I was just like buying my own stuff. So no more brand loyalty. So it was good.
Yes, that is the goal, is to move out and buy your own. Once you're buying your own stuff, then you're not playing only PlayStation games, which isn't a problem. But yeah, that's what I was stuck with as well. So we stuck to we're a PlayStation family.
Yeah.
But now in 2018, we can now come together and all be one. Yes.
No.
Absolutely not.
I heard it.
Yeah, then I guess, are there any examples come to mind of being able to spend more time with people, or seeing people in a different light through video games? And just, I guess the one example I used last time, but it's a good story, is my grandparents getting way into the Wii, and they never played video games ever before, but when the Wii came out, it was really accessible, and something with it clicked, so they were playing Tiger Woods golf with it. Like every weekend, my grandparents and my auntie and uncle would play until like 3 a.m. playing games, and they were talking about games at the dinner table. They were the ones talking about their careers in Tiger Woods at Thanksgiving, and not me or my brothers. So yeah, is there any?
Were they great? Were they really good at it?
I didn't see them play, but I gotta assume my grandpa was talking about getting big sponsorship deals.
Oh wow! Okay. Sorry, my apologies. I didn't mean to insult them.
So I did not doubt him or question him. He seemed like a big deal.
I remember when my mom wanted a Wii. That was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
The fact that, like, after taking, I think Sega Master System was the last time I got either of my parents to play anything with me. And then when it came around to the Wii, and my mom came over and bowled for the first time and said, "I want one of these." I was like, "Really?" And then it almost worked. Where then I waited in line, I got her the Wii, it was her Christmas gift, great. And then months later, she hit me up and she's like, "I bought a Nintendo 3DS. I was like, "What? Impossible, what did you get?" And she's like, "This horse game." And I'm like, "Oh wow, how is it?" She's like, "Well, the horse keeps dying because I don't know how to feed it." And I was like, "Well, that's funny, yeah, you don't know how to feed it. When I'm up there next time, I'll do it." And months later, I came up, turned out I could not how do you feed this horse? I don't know. I could not figure out how to feed this horse, so it kept dying on me too. But she had bought a 3DS, which was huge. She had bought a flight game for her husband, where I came home and I was like, "What is this Blue Bomber thing?" She's like, "It's terrible, but Tom wanted a flight game." And I'm like, "All right, well, this is kind of what's happening with the Wii, I guess. A terrible attach rate, but people are buying things, and that's good."
Yeah, more or less, same thing happened to me. I was an only child, and both my parents worked, and I was raised by video games, essentially, which explains a lot if you know me. But they never played video games. They never had any interest in it at all. I tried to get them to play, check this game out, you might like this thing or whatever, and just zero interest. Nope, that's the babysitter. Go be with your babysitter. And I said it like they're amazing parents. I shouldn't say it like that. But but then, sure enough, they went to this retirement home, like, I don't know, 15 years ago they moved, and then the Wii came out, and they just saw it at like the rec center at the retirement home. And they're like, "Hey, what's this thing about? We like did this bowling thing, and it's amazing. Like, is that like $3,000?" And I'm like, "No, it's like $199 or whatever." And they're like, "Oh, that's still too expensive." So I bought it for them. And sure enough, they were like bowling every day. They're having bowling parties in the retirement community. People are coming over and bowling. And then I made the mistake of trying to buy him other games.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
And that was disastrous. Like, I bought him like 3 or 4 different things, like an RPG, this thing, and they're just no, it's the bowling machine.
I guess I'm kind of coming from like a totally different perspective of this, in that when I was a child, I did not have a console at all. I had like my mom's gateway computer that came in those boxes with the cow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I had like Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and then I got Chamber of Secrets, obviously, even though it's the worst book and the worst movie, but whatever. And so I played like those games, and then one of my friends had a PS2 though at some point, and I was like, "All right, well, let me just sit here and play some video games or whatever, because I'm cool or whatever." Like I was very like, I'm not introverted, but like I was autistic, so I'm very like, I am a person by myself, and then there's other people doing things with other people, but I was very much like, okay, cool, I'm by myself. Hey,
You're
let's
self-contained.
go. Like, yeah, so the first video game I actually played was a chess video game on PS2 because my mother refused to play actual chess with me, and I was like, well, whatever, I'm gonna play chess with the video game because you don't get to tell me who I get to not play chess with or whatever.
Was she not a fan of chess?
She hates chess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the devil's game.
It's not great.
She's an art historian, and she's just like, "Nope, this game is dumb, you're dumb." And I was like, "Oh, everything is dumb, whatever, video games." And so that was like my intro to video games, except for one time I tried to play Kingdom Hearts at my friend's house, and I'm so serious. I'm like, when you first start and there's these like creepy like ghosts that come out of the ground, it was so scary. I was like, nope. Nope. And now I don't like talk to ghosts, so that's how that affected my life in real
That's fair.
something.
The crossover video games to real life
Yeah,
is
I got
real.
more into video games like only a couple years ago, like actually. Like I had to have surgery and I was like, well, if I'm on bed rest, I don't want to watch Netflix forever because I've already watched 84% of Netflix. Yes, I did actually check because I wanted to know. But so I want to do something else. And so my friend, I had just come back from PAX East, 2016. And they had this like Overwatch tracer car lift thing. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but it looks awesome. What is that? And then my friend told me about Overwatch, and I was like, all right, I'll just play this video game. Like 700 hours later. So yeah, I'm getting my feet wet now, and it's very fun. But
So you're saying marketing works. Those lift. That's the first iteration.
I know.
That's the first time I've heard those lift cars working.
I was like, that looks great. I want to do everything that has anything to do with entirely that. Like,
Cool.
Yeah.
So
cool.
has your mind been blown by how far chess video games have come?
Oh my god, yes. Like, I don't even. Well, why do they make those? Like, real talk. Why does it? Why? Just why?
Did you ever play
For
Battle
me,
Chess?
thank you. No, I just played. It was literally like, like it was. I'm so embarrassed. It was just chess with like 2D. Like it was the
like
worst
2D
game.
chess.
Yeah, it was the worst
boy.
game. But I was playing it out of spite, so it was the best game. But yeah, now I play actual video games, and I make a lot of friends doing that, and I really like it because I don't. Well, not that I don't like making friends IRL, but I am way worse at making friends with actual human beings when they're in front of me. And I have a lot easier time making friends playing video games, especially Overwatch, because like there's so many tropes going on, you know, like you'll be playing and it's like, okay, I did like 2K heals per minute and like Hanzo's being a dumbass, and it's like, yeah, Hanzo is a dumbass, and it's like, Hanzo's a dumbass! Like that kind of stuff, and like that feels really good, you know, when you're like bonding with someone on a level that you were like, I thought it was just me in a corner drinking salt, but it's also you, so that's good.
That's perfect.
Oh, who do I mean?
Yeah, who do you
I
mean?
am a Diamond 3000 SR Mercy main. What's up?
Damn.
Yeah, and I actually got to Diamond on my own merit as opposed to being boosted, like 70% of all the other.
There's that salt again.
Yeah, because I stopped playing comp a little bit after season 5 when I got to Diamond because a lot of people were like, do you do anything else? And I was like, I mean, I'm good at it, so like, what's the problem? Like, did you get healed? You did. Did we win? We did. What's the problem?
Exactly.
Am I missing the point of the game?
Exactly. Like for me especially, it's like I thought the point was to win. Like I'm sorry, but like I thought we were supposed to win, and like we did. So like, why are you throwing salt at me? Like this is like not the time. Like I feel like if we were losing, you could be like, why aren't you healing me?
Yes,
I
it
need
just
healing.
sounds
I
like
need
they're
healing.
jealous.
I need healing. Yep. Honestly,
They're just jealous.
I think they're just bored because I get bored halfway through too. Some of those matches are
you
like
just too
half
good?
an hour. No,
Oh.
it's just that like King of the Hill. Sorry, they're long. They're long.
Okay, fair enough. Well, all right. Speaking of that, though, making friends through video games, that's
Yes.
another aspect of the culture or the what video games have brought to us. I don't know, Brandon, if you have any stories about through that with your streaming and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely as a streamer on Twitch, I've met a lot of people all over the world, which I never would have thought that, like, years ago. When I started, wait, I have another prop.
Yes.
Thought about
Yes. I'm
This is
trying.
gonna be a very weird one because we're like, what? I don't understand.
Blind
Okay,
segueing
let's see,
into
is this right?
props.
Okay, so we're gonna pull out Catwoman the video game.
Damn.
All right. Oh,
Yes,
I'm
we
really shocked
are.
I'm really shocked that you were like, okay.
excited
So
it's a video game.
I had like a long summer where I was just playing bad video games all the time, and I paid I think $1 for this game. This is the first game I actually wanted to
too
return
much.
it for my $1, and
That's too much.
that was too much for that.
I actually worked
So
on
I
that
played
game.
this game, and I
No,
wanted
just
to
kidding.
start like a website about like bad video games because I didn't really see it. And I started a website called ugrgaming.com, and then I started making reviews and doing gaming news and stuff like that. And then from Catwoman, you never thought that, but yeah,
It launched a lot of careers.
a lot of careers and stuff. And I made a lot of friends just like through social media, and then like it got me into streaming, and then you would think that one game brought me here. So yeah, the little passionate cat.
I'm so
woman.
confused by this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's
very
a lot going
strange.
on in
It's
the
very
back.
strange. If you played it, it's not a good game, but yeah. But I've met a lot of great people through gaming, and especially a lot of my close friends now, especially through Twitch. It's been
Oh, it's
awesome.
Halle Berry as well.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is the Halle Berry likeness.
Yeah. I like how it says Halle Berry is Catwoman, but is lowercase, but it's still underlined.
Yep.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's such a weird, like, she is. Do you want to look at this back?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Very, very garbage, but I have it here for the memories. Yeah.
That's great. I guess in that vein, are there do any of you have any Are there any turning points you see from like a video game that brought you to people, maybe not in like the grand scale of the internet, of just like brought you to friends, brought you to people, and that sort of thing? I'm trying to think of, I guess I'll think of my example as I thrust it upon everyone else.
I mean, I used to play a game called Warlords 2 on the PC. This was like probably like 25 years ago, maybe not that long, but it's basically like a turn-based strategy game. And me and my friend played it. My friend was super, super into it. I liked it. And we played, this is like like matchmaking and so we'd go online and you'd play ladder matches, right? And the ladder was like, you both have to email the person who ran the ladder and report who won, and it was like honor system and all this stuff.
Oh my God.
And I ended up being shitty at that game and not going on the ladder. But my best friend was like always trading like one and the first, second, and third slot with 2 other people. And they ended up doing a meetup, and I happened to be there for it. And like we're all like really good friends to this day. It's super, super weird. Like the one guy is like assistant GM of the 76ers, and he was like, I met him through Warlords 2, just like bizarre stuff. And so it's like, you never know like this shitty little video game and then who you meet and how long these things can last with you. But like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's cool. Did anybody else do ladder systems?
What is that?
Yeah, 2 people? I don't know. I was big on the Monopoly scene. What?
Wow.
I was playing Westwood's Monopoly online on the PC, and I was big on case ladder system. Got to 16 once. Don't want to lie to you. Had a little hot symbol next to my name.
What's the scale?
What's the skill
what is
Monopoly?
16?
Oh, out of like as many people are playing, I was
16th.
ranked number 16 in the world at Monopoly on the case ladder system.
Are you just good at rolling?
I played under the moniker Superboy. If any of you face me, I'm sorry. But I mean, in terms of friends in video games, right? Like, I mean, I think my entire career is built on it, in the fact that when I decided I wanted to write about video games, I didn't know what that meant. And by the time I started applying and going to school for it, and then applying, working at IGN even, it was the idea that whenever I talk about it, right, and I would say this on podcasts, and I say it to this day, that if you listen to this, you're my best friend, because I talk about video games to anyone I meet the same way I talked to Poe, my literal best friend, in our suburbs of Chicago in our basement when he'd come over. Because I was always very isolated growing up playing video games, that I loved video games, right? And I had friends that liked video games and had video games and played video games, but they weren't getting EGM and poring over GamePro and obsessing about all these different things. And so, like, it was a huge deal. I remember when I finally convinced Poe to buy a PS2. Like when he walked into the store to buy a PS2 with me, and I walked him out, and he bought that and NCAA that year, football. And we came home and played till sunrise, side by side. And it was like such a mind-blowing experience to me to have someone that close to me that into video games. And so, you're talking about people you've met or whatever, right? Like that's still with kind of funny what it's all about. Like we call our audience best friends because they are. Like there's Zyger, right? He just wandered in one day when I was doing a Criminal Girl stream. And I was doing it on a lark. Look at this weird game. And Zyger knew everything about it. The game where you give the girls orgasm with the gun. He knew a lot about it. And it was weird. No, a different game. It was pretty much the same game, Zyger. I don't know about that. Oh, no, you're right. I'm talking about Galgun, when you knew a lot about Galgun. Criminal Girls was the other one where they were like in jail or whatever in skimpy outfits. My apologies. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I digress. The Twitch chat eating me alive. But I mean, I'm sorry, what was that, Nikhil? Exactly, yeah, thank you for allowing me to wrong on the thing. But that's, what it's all about. And I think, like even playing DC Universe Online, when I fell down that rabbit hole and played for 700 hours, like the people I played with, right, were my friends. And you would get on and you would know them and talk to them and have inside jokes and catch up on their day and what's going on with this. And it's been weird that when you leave those games, like I still can pick up with them. We'll email every so often, right. But I'm not where we were. We were bound by this one thing that now is different. And like Monster Hunter right now, Monster Hunter World, I'm just coming off that bender. And like that was the same thing. I'm jumping in with the same people all the time and playing.
Yeah, it's that, it's like you have these pockets of your life, and games are taking part of that now. Like there's school where you have these groups of people around you all the time. And like, so online games can be that same thing. I can't say that whenever I played an online game, it was like I'm trying to solo a WoW by myself, and I'll roll into a guild but not talk to anyone. But that's fine. And then, I have like a friend that I played the Halos with, And that was like basically what our relationship was based on. So like we stopped talking for 2 or 3 years, and Halo 2 came out, and it was like just called him up, and be like, hey, Halo 2's out. You got it? Yes. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming over. And we're playing Halo 2. And yeah, there's that sort of, and that's like now that's how I keep in touch with a lot of the people that I don't go to school with anymore or don't work with at the retail jobs I used to work with, and just like being able to stay in touch with these people is another part of the personal part of video games and how they allow you to make your world kind of like you're holding your world together by long ropes, and you're able to pull in one if you want to, but they're still attached to you if you need them. Brandon, what's your next prop? I'm super curious about your props.
Oh, well, it's my favorite one. Let's see. So this is a game that hopefully you guys know this. It's a smaller indie title.
If we don't, then we will.
Resident Evil.
Oh,
So this is one of my favorite games of all time, just because like I stream this a lot on Twitch. And I was finally able to find a copy of this version with Chris looking kind of crazy. But like I played this a lot, and of course, like when I was a kid, I was so scared to play it. And like the zombies were real, and the voice acting was incredible. You know,
the pinnacle of voice acting.
Yeah. Barry, don't open that door. Yeah, that's stuff.
Oh, chill, man.
But I've just loved the series and playing 1 and 2 and 3, just reliving that, especially on Twitch and people coming in and talking about like the nostalgia of when they were kids and playing it. It's been a really good adventure to be on, and then collecting them, and that's why like I have this and I have this. But Resident Evil to me is like the main game that I love, and I'll always go back to, and I still play to this day, even the remastered version, which is incredible. If you've never played it, you should check it out. It's on like every platform. But it's horror. It's everything I've ever dreamed of in one game. Bad voice acting, bad graphics, everything right here. So yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
I remember when that came out, I only got as far as the dogs jumping through the window.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
And then I'm like, super nope. Absolutely not. I'm done with this game. And I traded in like the next day. I was done with it.
Oh, game trade-ins.
Yeah.
What a world that was.
Oh yeah.
Just on the tangent of scary games, Resident Evil 7, my Steam time for the demo is 6 minutes. And I think 4 of that was at the menu. It was just, I walked around the kitchen, nothing happened. I went, I don't want anything to happen, and I quit. It was too much. I don't know how anyone plays that. Where was I going with that? Nowhere. Anyways, I guess, Dave, with your career in video games, has that adjusted or changed how you play games, even as you're like in the recent years with your being a C3PO and all that, or running a company? Before that, like when you're playing games, were you still able to like make the memories of them and not just analyze them and that sort of thing?
So I think the weird thing about making games and playing games is, like, you know everything about every game before it comes out. Like, probably like most people in this room, like you consume all games media. You're aware a game's probably going to be good or probably going to be shit. You know a lot about games before they come out. And so then when you get them, it's very rare you're surprised by something, right? It's like, oh wow, this is actually delightful, and I thought this was going to be garbage, or vice versa, or whatever. And it's those things that I come to appreciate. Like when I stumble upon something that, like, otherwise I might not have. Like like Hitman 2 years ago, that episodic Hitman came out. Like I'd kind of given up on Hitman. I played every Hitman to date. I loved them all very much, and progressively kind of fell out of love with them. I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to give this one more shot. And then because I wasn't super into it, I'd given up on it. I stopped following anything about it. And so everything about it was like just this unfurling of secrets to me, right? And it's amazing. So for me, it's not so much that like I break them down or I'm constantly thinking about like, oh, how did they do thing X or whatever, because I'm just a stupid business guy. I don't make games anyway. But it's more about like trying to find something I don't know anything about and then just letting it surprise me.
Right.
That's what it's about these days for me, which is fun.
Yeah, I totally had that change. I'm big into Grand Theft Auto because those are fun games. And then San Andreas was coming.
Another indie hit, yeah.
Another indie hit. So I don't know if you've heard about it. The Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, just consuming absolutely everything about San Andreas, absolutely every piece. And so like I burned through it in like 2 days when it came out, and it wasn't that surprising. It was cool and fun because it was Grand Theft Auto. And then I completely did the opposite for GTA 4. Did not see anything other than the 3 trailers Rockstar put out. And the only time I saw gameplay footage was waiting in line at the midnight launch, which was a waste of time, but that's another story for another day. But so like being surprised by the game was so much more impactful than reading all this stuff. But you kind of can't help yourself with the stuff coming out, and all the information is there. But yeah, it's just like the relationship with the medium is affected by how much you put into it. It gives back how much you put in. So you can find that stuff out if you want to beforehand.
Well, it's part of that is how much, not even you want to limit yourself, but how much the publisher has limited themselves.
Yeah.
And where it is the fact of like, I remember playing through Last of Us for the first time and like getting to the giraffe, right? And like I remember getting there and be like, all right, cool, we're about to head into the last main part, and I was like, I'm gonna walk my dog. So I took the dog out and walked him, and I finally started reflecting because I was playing it for to make sure I was in the review conversation. So I was playing through it over a weekend, just steamrolling it, and got out there and started like in the same time of them let's take a breath. I took a breath and then thought back on the journey and started crying on the street because it was holy shit, and to go through that and be surprised on that level, to get to the ending that I didn't see the way that they were going to get where they were going when they were on the way there, to then be able to talk to people right away about it, being surprised is the biggest thing. And we talk about it with movies all the time. They spoil everything. And games can do that as well, where you're just not caught off guard by anything anymore. Yeah. And so when you get a game that is truly surprising, it's awesome. But then it's more the risk of, we're lucky, right? We get the game early, we know somebody, you're playing the game, you're doing something with it. But then when reviews start posting, when there's a long lead time on a review, when somebody inevitably in Europe has gotten it off the back of a truck and is streaming the entire thing, and then people are shouting out spoilers in the comments, or people are putting GIFs up on Twitter and all these different, it's so hard to get that genuine moment about it. And so that's why when it happens, I feel like you have to applaud the people who actually kept it under wraps that long.
Yes, and then you want to do the exact opposite thing and share it with everyone.
I want all the hits.
I want everyone. Yes, even outside of that, I want to run to my friend's house and tell them about this thing, or make sure they play the game. I'm just did you play it? You play it yet? So we can talk about it. There's something. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you, but there's something.
Well, always the dangerous question of where are you at?
Yes.
This is the last
especially when neither of you have finished it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that dangerous game you're playing.
Yes, playing chicken with spoilers. So Maya.
Yeah, what's up?
You're with the Secret Hitler people.
Oh yeah.
God,
I'm the only.
Yes, you're the only employee of Goat Wolf and Cabbage LLC.
It's just me.
So with the board. So how did you get into working with board games then? Did you play board games before, or is it just video games are new, or everything's new?
Gaming is very new to me.
Okay.
I am, however, very much accepting it as a new phase of my life where I'm so down with this. Let's go. I'm ready to let's take the train and go. But yeah, it sounds like when people are oh, what do you do? And I'm just I majored in film music at Oberlin Conservatory. I'm a jazz singer. It's very what are you doing here? How did you infiltrate the system? And I honestly, I want to thank my best friend Tommy a lot. Tommy was one of the co-creators of Secret Hitler, because he was okay, so I made this game and we got a company or whatever, and we don't know how to do the thing. You are good at things. Will you do the thing? And that's literally how I got hired. And because of that, it yanked me into this world. Right after that, I was 2 weeks later, I was at PAX, and I was video games. It was very much it was very 0 to 60. There was no warning or anything. It was just you like games now, and I was I like games now. So
how much of an otherworldly experience was coming to PAX?
Oh my
being
God.
thrust into this world? Because I don't know. It sounds like the rest of us grew up with it.
It was the scariest, but also the best thing that has ever happened. When I remember going down the escalator into the expo hall, and it felt like the internet was happening to my face. I feel I had just seen so many pictures of these things where I was people in booths and stuff, but actually going down the escalator was I feel I'm descending into a chasm of my life and the world and games and and you're just panning the whole thing holy crap, holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. And it's just it feels I'm being dunked in cold water or something, where it's all right, here I am. let's go. And it's like off to the races. And it's very, I don't know. I never expected that this would happen. I told my mom I was playing Overwatch, and she was like, "You're playing video games again?" And I was like,
Is it that chess again?
Because, literally, I was like,
Did she know by name?
No, she was just so petty. Like, I told her it was a video game, and she was like, "Oh, you're playing video games again?" And I was like, "Go back to having tenure or whatever. Like, I don't need this right now." And now she's like, "Oh, well, you play Overwatch, and I can like take notes and watch." Like, she like reads art history books and then watches me play Overwatch, and she's like, "Oh, that's cool." And I'm like, "What are you doing right now?" It's so weird, but it's also great because now, like, you know, we can do that. Bonding, not like she's my best friend or anything, which she is, but also now that I have this new element in my life that she can also be involved in. You know, I was kind of afraid because like I am really close to my mom. I grew up with her being a single mom, going to Yale while raising me. I don't know how. And it was very much like us. And I like music a lot, and she does too. So it was very much like, yeah, we're mom-daughter music stuff. And then when it was video games, she was very much like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know how to align with my child on this because I have never done this. So what? But
so with the Overwatch stuff, is she like actively watching and commenting on? You're right. Hanzo is a dumbass.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like now she knows who the people are. So when I was having the surgery, when I was in bed for like 2 weeks, she was watching the whole time, and she was kind of like, okay, I'm gaining. Information. Like she was like, why does he keep saying that he needs healing? What's that? Does he not? Is he not done? Like when will he get it? And I'm like, you have no idea. It's happening literally right now. Like, you know, she's kind of picked it up over time.
Okay.
And she seems genuinely interested in it. I guess it's just I'm just lucky that she cares about the things I care about or whatever.
Yeah, it's cool.
Is that like feeding your interest in games?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Because she's like, oh, what other things do you play? And I'm like,
let me show you all my
nothing.
things.
But now I'm kind of think I might want to, you know, I got a friend who's like, I can help you build a PC. And I'm like, but what is technology? So hopefully I'm going to do that. And then I'll be able to play more video games, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's...
Hop into Battlegrounds or
No.
Fortnite.
She's almost there. No.
I know a little bit about PUBG because I have a friend who helped make the desert map, my friend Wyatt. And I was chilling with him. He's an artist, and I love like hanging out with him because I'll just like study for my Korean class, and he'll be doing art on his very large monitors, and I'm just like, this is cool. This is very cool. So I witnessed a lot of it happening, but PUBG is like, I'm too scared. Like, I can't. I feel like when it comes to video games, because I'm like playing and I'm in it, it makes me like transport myself to the game to the level that if it is frightening in the game, I get terrified.
Right.
But like, it's totally different than if I'm like watching a movie or something. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
I can watch like, I remember one time someone was like, what's Human Centipede? And I was like, I don't know. And so I watched all three of them. I literally watched all three of them like back to back on a Saturday and was just like, well,
You should have known by the first one.
yeah, I was just like, well, that
What
happened.
about the first one made you have to watch the second one, or was it just you have to watch?
That's just me. Like, there's
Can we stop talking about Human Centipede,
I
actually?
gotta watch all of them. Yeah,
don't
so
wanna talk about
but like that
Vito?
for me was like that was gross, but I still like managed it. Meanwhile, I tried to play Kingdom Hearts.
But if
and
there's
was
a video
like,
game-
no. Like, you know, so like
if
my
there's a
brain-
video game based on the Human Centipede, you would not play it. Okay.
Oh my god! Oh, stop! Like I'm disappointed that you would like entertain that idea because now I feel like
I'm
someone's
discouraging
gonna
it.
make it.
That
they'll
would be a
make
great
it.
VR
I was
experience.
thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say it.
Multiplayer VR.
I didn't want to say it.
Oh my god!
I'm sure it's been done in like a rec room or something. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I guess going back to the PAX thing, for the rest of us being growing up with games, how was it
right.
coming to your first convention, whatever that might have been, your first big event that was about video games?
That was mind blowing, right? Like, I think taking my growth with video games, right, and being on the outside for so long until really I feel like going to IGN to actually start going to this stuff and see that and be along for the ride. You know, I look very young, but I've been around. You know, this is my 12th year in the industry, and so going through all this stuff and seeing how PAX has grown and seeing then the relationships that do form here and seeing the people on our subreddit or message boards or wherever, Facebook groups, talking about splitting rooms and doing this, it's like, wow, like I can only imagine if it's so hard, obviously, to express it to the kids nowadays. But when I was growing up at 18, the idea of we're all going to split hotel rooms and get plane flights. Like,
Yeah,
who do I call? Am I calling American Airlines? How do I do that? You know what I mean? How do I figure out what a hotel even is in San Francisco, in Boston? Oh, where would there's no easy resource for it, so it just didn't happen. And the way everybody makes it happen now, and you come here and it is mini reunions at each one of these different events for different groups of people, it always blows my mind of like, wow, this is awesome, and this is what I would have killed for. And like, for me, the one that stands out is when Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker had come to PSP, and we did a meet and greet with the PlayStation guys over at PAX West, and that was at the donut place, and then everybody just had their PSPs that year, so you would just be walking and, tweet out or whatever that we're going to be over at the beanbags, and you'd go play Peace Walker with all these people that would just show up, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, this is what video games are always meant to be.
The power over people.
Yeah, the power over people. Yeah, the obsession of getting that other soldier. But no, the ability just to come together and find that like-minded stuff.
Yeah.
And now, I love PAX obviously, but for me, PSX is PAX just more dialed in. Whereas at PAX, you can be walking and be in a line of somebody like, oh man, so what are you playing? And they're like, well, I only play board games. Like, oh fuck, I don't play any, so we have nothing here. Whereas at PSX, right? It's like,
Right.
I love Shuhei. Ah! Everybody freaks out that they're all there about the exact same thing.
Right.
And so to see communities be able to come together and do that stuff, it's so amazing.
Absolutely. Brandon?
PAX has been awesome. Like, it was actually the very first big event I ever done, and I've grown a lot as a person, as networking, being that shy kid, trying to talk to companies about I have a website, I write about video games. Could you talk to me? And I did my first hosting thing at PAX. I got partnered before PAX, and now I'm in my new job now, working for Verse Evil, doing working on the gaming industry side, which I always wanted to do. So it's just it always reminds me of my journey of how far I've come, since the very first one. And it was the very first event I ever did, and it's my favorite convention ever.
What year was that?
Oh geez, I don't know. I don't even know. I started doing this in 2012. I think it was maybe 2014.
I think that might have been similar to my start.
Yeah.
I have a bad memory sometimes.
Me too.
Yeah.
Same.
Dave?
Yeah, the cool thing for me with what I get to do is I get to travel a lot and I get to go to shows, and I have people like Greg who I see at every single show, but there's a lot of people I meet and they're my PAX East friends, or they're my PAX South friend,
Same.
or they're my Evo friend, or whatever it is, right? And it's really hard to articulate how powerful it is that you can kind of jump into these communities and meet people in them and make friends, and you have this common bond, this language you can instantly talk about and vibe with. And it's one of the coolest things I have in my life, is just this network of friends I otherwise never would have met, right? And that I look forward to that more than this panel or this game or whatever it is. I look forward to seeing the people I met at Evo 4 years ago, or NCR, or whatever it is, right? And getting to hang out with them again and having a beer and just catching up, and all the other stuff on the show is incidental to these little communities and groups of friends I've built up over the years. And this can be daunting for sure, because some people are introverts and some people are really shy about getting to know people, and that's a really hard challenge. But if you can find a way to do it, muster up the courage and talk to somebody you might not otherwise do, go for it, man, because that's the best stuff about these shows to me. It's just the people you meet and the relationships you carry forward independent of the shows, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fairly introverted person, so the first PAX, my friend Chelsea and I came to, I think 2014. It's not a lot of going up to people and talking to them, because I don't know what to talk about, and I get all of that flustered, but just waiting in the Giant Bomb panel line, where we're able to, just being there for 2 hours, you end up talking to the people around you, and we're able to talk to the guy, and then we saw him at PAX East. We met a friend, and we saw him at PAX East, and saw him there, and went out for drinks with him, and these things just grow naturally, whether you want them to or not, kind of, just because
you can't get rid of these people sometimes.
Just because of how friendly the community is. That was a positive spin.
Depends who you are, I guess.
Yeah, it depends on, if you want that to continue. You're able to make it continue if you wanted to. If you can cut those things off if you want, if you try. But yeah, video games and friends and...
I also even the small nods. You know, you'll be wearing I'll be wearing an Overwatch hoodie or something, and someone else is wearing an Overwatch hoodie, and you're walking and you're doing stuff, but you're just that's really cool. Even if you don't talk, it's just we like a thing. I like that. That's cool. Like, it makes me feel more comfortable in this space, knowing that there are people who like a thing that I like. Like, even if we don't actually interact, it makes like walking through the space feel a little easier, at least for me. The nod is like, it's good.
Yeah, you're able to find those pockets of people, as you were saying. Like, there's different people like different things, and you might not like the same thing as everyone, but you'll like the same thing as someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know why. That reminds me of just like growing up. I would have friends that not like I was the video game friend, and some people would have different consoles, but I was the one that loved video games and didn't really have people that are at the same level, not in any sort of gatekeeping way, but whatever. But like, I just remember, I have specific friends that I remember with specific games. So it's the one friend I had Diablo 1 with and Halo, and then my brother with Diablo 2, and then the other friend with like Jet Set Radio. My friend's brother, we happened to play that all evening. And just like remembering people through games, I guess that's a way, or it's kind of like a sense memory thing for me, at least, with like how music will remind you of times if you listen to an old album or that sort of thing. But yeah, just like, does anyone have any examples of, of specific, of even as a child with playing games with specific people? And I only saw certain friends because we played certain games, and that.
I actually sort of do.
Yeah?
Yeah, I had a friend when we were playing Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, because it was like the past, and we just had my mom's computer that we were on. If I would get like stumped, we would like tag each other in, basically. Or I would be like, oh my God, like I've been yelling at Snape for 20 minutes and he won't give me the thing. And she's like, I know what to do. And then she would just like immediately do, and we would just be like, yeah, heck yeah, teamwork. Like it was like this friendship that we were able to like provide where the other one couldn't. It was like a completion type of thing, which felt even better about the game, because then it was like, oh, not only did I do this, but I did this with someone else, and like we both did it, and that's so awesome. Like it felt like it brought us together as we were bringing the game itself together.
It was such a different thing, right, for being a kid and playing with somebody and switching the controllers back and forth or whatever, because it was problem solving and learning to problem solve and something you cared about. It wasn't like school, it wasn't like some hypothetical. It was like for me and Poe, right, early on, he was into PC gaming a little bit, and he brought over Full Throttle. And like we sat down and started playing Full Throttle, and it was a thing of like, wait, how do we get out of here? What do we do? And you start mixing it up and switching it up, and that continued on, until I went to college and we went our different ways. We were still friends, but different schools. But it was like, Metal Gear. When I came home with Metal Gear Solid, and that changed the course of my life. But him and me playing it was like he was enraptured, and then he was always the better sniper. It's like, oh man, it's a Sniper Wolf section. Pass the thing off to him. You got to get her. I can't get her. And like that whole thing of us again staying up all night long to try to go through to try to do that forged those memories that I think makes that series so important to me. Let alone memories we'll have forever and talk about all the time.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it changes what games are important to you too, and just like it pushes you down different paths of like why people like shooters, why people like RPGs or turn-based or that sort of thing.
And it's something you lose, I think, right? Like, because like the older you get, the more rare it is to play a single-player game with someone else in the room.
Yeah,
and that's why I think right now you're seeing such a resurgence in couch co-op, and the fact that we miss that and we want that back. And it's the same reason, like when I went back to visit Poe and I bought him a PlayStation 4 for a housewarming gift, I was like, we're also downloading this game called Overcooked. And he's like, that sounds stupid. I'm like, just wait. And he stayed up all night playing through it to beat it.
That's actually one of the best things about having kids, if they happen to be into video games. So I have 3 kids. I have girl 14, who is too cool for video games and dad. Boy 11, who loves video games, and girl 9, who's kind of into video games, but like getting to experience like Zelda: The Breath of the Wild with all of them, because they all just happen to love that game. And just sitting there next to them and watching them play it, and them showing off to me and like, look at the sword I got, Dad, and this thing and this thing. So it's like that part of my life that like, I still remember like if you mentioned like the gold box D&D games to me on the PC, I'm instantly back in high school in Bob Grismore's bedroom, and we're trading it off like that. I know 20 years from now when someone mentions Zelda: Breath of the Wild, I'm gonna be thinking about me and Royce and like, just beating Ganon, Calamity Ganon together or whatever, right? And so it's like that part of my life, which I thought was gone forever, is kind of back now in a really cool way, where I get to vibe out with my kids and have fun through them and their experiences with these things. So it's less about playing, it's just riding shotgun and hanging out with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, but that's like one of my biggest fears. as Jen and I talk about having kids, I'm terrified that these kids are not going to like games.
Oh no.
Because like it would only be karma and fate to do that, because that's how it was. I'm sure when my father was picturing having a son, right, he was thinking about like, oh, we're going to work on cars together, and we're going to, my dad is the guy, Saturday mornings he was up at 7 a.m. out there cutting the grass, working in the garden, doing this, changing the oil in the truck, changing the tires, and all that jazz, going to the hardware store. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to sit in the dark basement for literally until dinner time. And I'm sure that weighed on him to some extent. Like my dad, was accepting, of course, but it was, now I think ahead when I have kids like that, I see like Donald Mustard, like downstairs he has this like quad setup of widescreen TVs, and one was running Netflix, and then the other three when it was hot was Destiny 2, and him and his 2 sons playing, and it's like, that would be awesome, but I'm so terrified of being what I was to my father. That's what.
Yes, that reminds me of being a kid and trying to explain to your parents about a video game because you're so excited and you want to tell them about it, and not even about going over their head. It's just they have other things to worry about.
Yeah,
and also they don't care.
That's my ultimate video game memory. Like when you asked me to be on this panel, like this is immediately what sprang to mind is the fact that my father, an awesome dude. A great guy. I love him to death. We still talk, obviously. We just didn't connect. And it was that thing of growing up, I was a mama's boy, and it was just the fact that I think mom worked nights. So she stayed home with me during the day and made sure I was all right. Dad would come home from work, and it was exciting, but it's only a few hours, and then I'm to bed. And again, I want to play games. He doesn't care about that. He wants to work on the garage. I don't care about that. And so I felt like there was that rift. And there was always that question of growing up of does he accept me, right? And my dad is... number 1 crane operator, Greg Miller. If you've been in downtown Chicago, my dad has worked on a building you see. He's been a heavy equipment operator, crane operator for 40 some years right now.
So cool.
So he literally, I'm like, oh yeah, me and Jen are gonna go down there. What corner are you on? All right, look at that building over there. I did that. I put that up in 1980. Okay, thanks, Dad.
So cool.
All right, great. Anyways, but that's his passion. And so when I talk about video games or play a game in front of him, it was always over his head. And on top of that, mom was always I don't know when I stopped believing in Santa, but I knew mom and Santa had a good relationship. And then mom was the one taking me to the toy store. Mom was the one who had to be up on Ghostbusters. Mom, there was a lot going on that she was the keeper of. And dad was not of that world. That was not his job. And on top of all this, I'm growing up as a terrified child all the time. I'm very worried about everything, to the point of with money. There's one point my mom at Toys R Us breaks out a credit card, and I burst into tears. And I'm like, I don't need the toy. I don't need the toy. We can put it. She's like, what is wrong? You're like, we're out of money. Yeah. Well, you're using a credit card. We don't have any money. So we're broke. And she's like, no, that's not how credit cards work. Don't worry. All of this is happening. My dad is a union operator, which meant, you go on a job, and eventually the job is completed. The building is done. They don't need a crane operator. And he would get, quote unquote, laid off, which meant, go home, and then you wait for the union to call within their job. But for me, watching TV and sitcoms, you're fired. And that means you don't have a job, and there is no money, and it's in free fall, and it's all going to hell. And so during one of these times where I'm already worried, right, that everything's going to hell and we're going to be out in the streets, I'm sitting there watching the animated series, Batman the animated series, or Animaniacs or whatever, but I'm cross-legged in front of the TV watching, and Dad's behind me reading a newspaper. And it was after school, and they ran a commercial for Genesis. And I already had a Genesis. I did really well in the first grade on a report card. Got to level up from the Sega Master System to the Genesis. Big deal for me. And it was gotta get Genesis like nothing ever before. Genesis is so much more with Toe Jam and Earl. Like the worst ADR, they just shoved Toe Jam and Earl in there. Anyways, but it was a Spider-Man commercial with then Toe Jam and Earl shoved in the middle. Doesn't matter. During the Spider-Man part, I had the most genuine awestruck kid moment of Dad, that is the coolest video game ever. And my dad was like, all right, from behind me reading the newspaper. And the next day he brought me home from school, and in front of the TV, wrapped in the Toys R Us bag, with that old school Toys R Us font, remember going like that, was Spider-Man on Genesis.
Yes.
And it blew me away then, and it blows me away today. Because my dad, who does not know how to turn on a computer today, not that he needed the computer then, but he made a mental note to remember what system I had in Spider-Man and go into a Toys, and I can only imagine. I can't fathom the conversation. He grabs this employee and he's like, do you know Spider-Man? But he did it, and he went through all these hoops without my mom being there to help him at all, because she was at work, and he got this damn game and brought it home and did all this stuff, and it was so crazy for me of him being accepting of my hobby, accepting of my passions, and then also showing me, no, we're not broke. It's okay.
Yeah, that reminds me, Christmas and my dad are interesting. I don't mean to put my dad on blast, but he would like to put from Santa and Dad on presents, just to make sure credit was given where credit was due. But I guess one present from Santa and Dad. I remember I really like The Sims, and I was just talking about new expansions coming out. And I didn't think that I would get the thing I wanted, but then he got The Sims Hot Date expansion for The Sims. And I was I didn't think you'd remember. It's something weirdly specific. I don't know where you'd find that. You'd have to go to the EB Games and specifically ask for this thing and not just get the main game again. So yeah, stuff like that when they remember, or just the adults are busy with their adult lives and you don't understand as a kid, but then you get the thing that you mentioned here and again, or you pestered them for, and it's it makes that memory. It's important. I guess, Dave, does this give you heartwarming feelings looking into the future as Greg is your future son? Greg is in place of your son in the future.
It's hard to describe. Once you have kids, it kind of changes your whole life in a very profound and great way. And the things you worried about before you had kids, you couldn't even fathom worrying about them anymore. Like I said, my oldest girl isn't into video games, and very much like Greg, I'd be like, oh my God, what if they don't like the same things I like? How am I going to bond with them? It's you just like what they like, she's super into music and ballet, and so I go pick her up at ballet and learn about ballet. And it's just it's impossible to predict what it's going to end up like. It's just, it's a PSA to go have kids or anything, but kidsrule.com.
So many kids conceived at PAX East 2018.
Oh my God.
9 months from now, a lot of kids named Dave and Chris. And
it feels nice when they remember, you know? Because I was telling you how my mom watches me play Overwatch sometimes, and now she'll sometimes Google Overwatch, and then she'll send me an email. And she'll be like, did you see that Jeff Kaplan, she'll put in quotes, nerfed and then she'll just have the link. And I'll look at it and I'm like, yes, I did know that. And she's like, it's bad, right? And I was like, it's so bad. And it's astonishing to me that she even bothered to Google that. Yeah. She's writing 2 books right now. That's the last thing I think about when I'm writing 2 books, because that doesn't make sense. But I was just amazed that she I don't know, was my mom still? That sounds weird, but I feel when you're an adult, there's this point where it's all right, I'm doing my own thing, and then your mom's doing her own thing, and you're talking, but it's not really the same. It's not everything you do is not affecting her constantly, but also it is still, but she just doesn't tell you about it. When you're a kid, because you're oh, I broke my toe, and so now my mom can't take me to school, stuff like that. But now I was just I'm playing Overwatch or whatever, and my mom's just oh, they made a new Moira skin, and I'm okay, thanks, Mom. Literally today she emailed me that because they released the Blackwatch Moira skin, and she was they made a new Moira skin, and I was yes,
her Google
they did,
alerts are
it
popping
looks
on
great.
Overwatch.
She's and she actively Googles because she doesn't have Overwatch. She's not playing the game. She's just searching for Overwatch and just finding a thing that she also finds interesting and checking in with me to see if I think that's interesting. And I think that's really great.
I'm praying for this to turn into the sitcom episode where the parent tries to get in touch with the kid by playing the game, and then they make friends online.
No, she's not gonna.
Then she reveals it's actually her.
My mom cares about the things I care about, but she doesn't understand computers basically at all. She's writing 2 books, but she's writing them with only these 2 fingers. She's just constantly, and she uses the word download for anything on the internet.
Yep.
If I log into Facebook on her computer, she's oh, you're still downloaded Facebook on my computer. Or if she asks me to print out an article, she's can you download that article? And I'm that's internet. So she would never actually play, but she does she lives through my happiness gratuitously by witnessing my happiness makes her happy. So that's fine. Whatever.
That's cool.
If she doesn't want to play, that's cool, as long as she's not mad or crazy or something, Yeah.
That's cool.
The weekly phone call with my father, who does not know how to turn on a computer. Yeah. Every week we're talking, and eventually we get to the point in the conversation where he goes, so how are the video games doing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The games are doing very well. Video games as a whole, very well.
Aces.
Yeah.
Games doing aces.
All signs point to it continuing.
Brandon, were you an island on your own with video games, or did you try and get your family involved?
I tried. We all tried several times to get my mom to play any game. Like the only thing I remember is like we were like, okay, we're gonna do Mario Kart. She'll like it. She knows how to drive perfect. So she liked the characters. That's as far as we got. But like the very first like realization that she was like into what we were doing was when we got the Nintendo 64 for Christmas, and like we opened it up. We're like, you know what? Get us. That's strange. We didn't know that. And
paying attention.
Yeah, you're paying attention to it.
Yeah, she hears everything we say.
Exactly. But then like now she knows like I work in gaming, but she's like, so how? Yeah, she's like, how's that thing you're doing?
Yeah.
Like video games? Yeah, that thing. How's that going? Perfect, Mom. Going good. But with the generation, I think it's going to change a little bit. But she knows like the first thing she was like, are you making money? As long as you're making money, that's fine. As long as not anything with drugs or illegal stuff, we're good. And I was like, okay, it's just video games, Mom. We're good. But she supports everything, and it's been kind of awesome to kind of showcase the things I've done. I'm like, I started here, Mom. Video games did help, and thank you, Mom, for giving me that Nintendo 64. So it helped out. GoldenEye was good.
Yeah, it's nice when you have a progression, a reel that you can show. Like,
Yeah.
hey, look at this thing. Like, hey, Mom, you might be watching the stream.
Oh, true.
You might
Sorry,
be watching
Mom.
the
I didn't
archive.
mean to say it.
My family might be watching the archive, but we'll see. Oh God, I had a story and then I totally lost it. Oh yeah, my mom. Her playing games was interesting because she's played stuff here and there. She might play a computer, or she plays her solitaire games on the iPad and stuff. And that's like it's solitaire. It's a card game, but on the computer, so it's easier. And there's fish floating around and stuff. So that's fun. But I remember the one time when Rock Band came out, and that was a big deal for my family. We actually got the whole family involved.
Wow.
Playing Rock Band. My brother, like my big muscly guy in the reserves, brother was singing Sting, and like I was on drums. My mom was on bass, and like that was fun because that never happens. Of getting the whole family together with all the siblings and that sort of thing.
That's rad.
But then I remember leaving, going to my friend's house, and then coming back, and my Rock Band stuff was out. I'm like, that's weird. Why is that out? And then my mom's like, I was trying to set it up, but I couldn't figure it out. I wanted to play. And I was like, that's so
you help
sweet.
her?
I did. I
Yay.
feel like I might have showed her how to do that. I feel, yeah, she probably played once or twice when I was not in the house. So like her making the step to play games when I'm not around or when
That's
no
cool.
one's around and
Yeah.
she just wants to do it for herself. That's such a big moment or just like seeing that in someone else that I didn't expect
Right, yeah.
that from.
But it's funny to watch it get extinguished so quickly.
Yeah, also
Because my mom came over and we had her do PlayStation VR Let's Plays. And she's like, this is a lot of fun. She took it off. How much is it? And I was like, it's this much. She's like, fuck off. No. You guys are bad with money, and these are a bad decision.
Yeah, the barrier to entry. I think, of just having once there's a stop. That's what the Wii was so magical of being. You point and you go. But if once there's a barrier, once it's a different game other than swinging the remote, it's an issue.
That's why the Wii had such great sales and terrible attach rate, where no one bought software for it.
Yeah, but that's what happened. That's the different types of games for different types of people.
Sure.
And yeah, like seeing Dave raising his children right, playing video games. Fingers crossed.
2 of the 3 of them anyway.
There you go.
Yeah. The other one's fucked, but
Black sheep. But just, it's a generational thing of just like our parents not seeing or not having that or not growing up with it.
not growing up with it.
And there
right?
are
That's such a big part of it.
there are ones that pick that up immediately and go with it. And that's just the way things are. But now because it is so prolific and all over the place that we are able to, and then we're able to pass it on to our kids or friends or nieces and nephews and all that jazz. And that... Yeah, it's close enough. That is a series of personal histories of video games. We'll wrap it up there. Does anyone have some time to promote things? Anyone have anything to promote, Dave?
funny you should ask, Eric. We have a video game coming out Tuesday. It's called Extinction.
What?
If you like Shadow of the Colossus but thought it had too much story, do I have a game for you? It's out on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. It's rad.
Damn, cool. That's great.
Oh, are we just going-
do you have any other panels?
I'm done. Oh, I have panels? Oh, I'm just product. I'm just trying to monetize.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Monetize the teams.
Yeah, correct.
Maya?
What am I doing? Stuff. Oh, right, Secret Hitler. We're playing Secret Hitler in the Kickstarter room every day from 10 a.m. to noon. And that's just me running those games. So if you want to come play Secret Hitler with me, you should totally do that. I've been playing the game since 2015 and I've lost 2 times. So pick up that gauntlet and play Secret Hitler with me. I don't have Twitter like those dudes, but I did put my battle tag there because if you're like me and you brought your entire computer to PAX, you can play Overwatch with me while I'm in PAX, or you can just add me and I can play later, whatever. I like playing with people. I honestly like hate playing Overwatch by myself. I never solo queue. I always like get some friends and then we go. So if you would also like some more friends or somebody to heal you, add my battle tag and I'll totally play with you.
There you go. Brandon?
Well, this weekend I'm on the Versus Evil booth doing the live stream over there. So if you want to stop by, I'd say see Pillars of Eternity 2 and Banner Saga 3. We have that there. You can follow me on Twitter. I have lots of GIFs, so if you like that, that's good. Yeah.
I like the GIFs you post. They're very fun.
I have a lot of them. I have a library full. So let me know. I can exchange some.
Great. Greg?
In 2 hours, we're doing the first annual Kind of Funny Chicken Wing Ding BYOW. The W stands for wings right here in this room. I've spent $200 on chicken wings already today.
God.
I forgot.
So come eat them.
Where did you get wings? What's your
Well, of course it's BYOW. I'm still going to help people out, though. Exactly. I got Postmates coming. Yeah, that's how I got this gum.
That's poor.
I went with Wings Over Boston, which I've heard a lot of good things about. Cool. I went against my better judgment because I love Joey Noelle and ordered boneless for her.
Boneless
You're welcome.
Great. Whatever.
I forgot something. Sorry. Tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, also in this location, we're going to have the Celebrity Secret Hitler panel where we roped in some celebrities to play Secret Hitler. We've got giant placards and we've got giant liberal tracker boards. We have Mike Selinker, creator of Pathfinder, and Graham Stark from Loading Ready Run, and the brothers Chaps who created Homestar Runner. So if you want to see some cool nerds play Secret Hitler and yell at each other, you should totally do that tomorrow night at 9 o'clock in this room.
Yeah, this room is popping off.
Yeah.
And I have something to promote more than just filming weddings.
You can't leave.
More than just filming weddings.
Fuck down.
You of all people. More than just filming weddings in Regina, Saskatchewan. If you need a wedding filmed, contact me. But my friend and I have started doing our own videos. If you want more content like this, the personal history, talking about lives and video games, my friend Kelby and I started doing videos so you can see the hot 4 views on ericandkelby.com. Take you to our YouTube channel. But this is where this panel will be posted, and the last one with my other amazing guests, and the video series of this concept going forward will be there as well. But thank you everyone for coming, and thank you everyone for being on the panel. Give them a big round of applause. Y'all are great. Enjoy PAX.